That we're just reflecting on ourselves and just appreciating and celebrating how far we come, you know? Because sometimes you just go through life and just pass and it feels like, dang, I haven't accomplished nothing, I haven't done anything.
What's up, y'all? It is Dr. Dia, founder of the H.Y.P.E movement. Man, listen, it has been 10 years. 10 years since we started. We're still here. And I'm excited that you guys are going to be able to walk down memory lane with us. Just laugh, reminisce, cry. Look at the times that we've had together, how we have shaped hip-hop culture, and how these young people, now grown people, have been a part of my journey and your journey as well. So walk with us, man. Laugh with us. Grow with us. And just know that you got the power to do the same thing.
We all came together to reunite, to fellowship, to actually catch up with each other and actually do things that we haven't done in a while. Today we're setting intentions. Today we're recording and documenting things that we've done over a decade ago.
Going live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
My question for you is literally starting from scratch.
Yeah.
How do you give us creators advice for building, starting a team network, and basically the blueprint of what you created? What's some advice? Do you think emails, word of mouth, just events, getting up and doing it? Like, what advice do you have for us to get out there and to be just like you?
Number one, I would say all the above. Everything you listed, all the above. But more importantly than the actual doing or, the action you take is the energy and the intention behind it. So, if you're inspired to write an email, you're inspired to reach out to somebody, inspired to take action, I would say do it. But if you can, stay away from forcing yourself to do stuff. Now, sometimes we do have to give ourselves that push because we may procrastinate or talk ourselves out of doing things out of fear, and so you do have to push yourself in those times. But, the biggest thing for me and just in reflecting and listening to some of the stories is following what Spirit is leading you to do. Mm-hmm. No matter how big or seemingly small and insignificant. Like in my life, sometimes it's been that little bitty thing. You get a urge or a nudge to go to a particular store, mm-hmm. or to make this right turn when usually you would take the whole other way home.
Yeah.
And, you don't know who you was going to meet when you made that turn or whatever. But when you are a person that identifies as a creative, you have to understand that it's not just your 5 senses. Sight, touch, taste, smell, hearing. I mean, that's important, mm-hmm. but it's that 6th sense, that thing that you can't explain, that spirit in you. When you learn to tap into that and follow that, that's the greatest thing you could do. So that's my advice. Like, get still, get quiet, go inward, listen to that inner being inside of you, and go from there. We get so focused on having the proof that I'm doing my thing. Like you said, let me send the email, let me do this event, just so we can prove that we really out here doing it. Right. And that I mean, it's good. It may be good things that come from that, but you want to be fulfilled and live your purpose. So tap into that 6th sense.
Exactly. And then you think about today, like, especially with social media, mm-hmm. people like, I got to do this, and this. But like how you saying, letting it move you to do towards that. Because then, okay, now you at the top, then you lost, and then people lose themselves and everything,
Yes, succumbing to that pressure, that peer pressure. You always want to curate your life, which is part of the reality of what we do have to do. Like, right. You know what I'm saying? That is a piece of it. But even in curating and, using social media and things like that, I definitely have benefited greatly from tapping into that sixth sense, man. It's so many stories that I could literally run down where one thing that just popped in my mind in 2014. Y'all already know how I feel about libraries.
Yeah.
I love the library, so I know, a lot of stories have been about the library. But, and we love Stonecrest Library. That was a library where we did things at. Well, it was one day I was leaving Berean. That's when I was a member of Berean. And I left. We had something on a Saturday. I was real active in church. And I had this urge to go to the library. So when I first got the urge, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking Stonecrest. Mm-hmm. But then it was like this strong feeling that was like, no, go to the Stone Mountain Library, the little bitty library over there by Stone Mountain Village, mm-hmm. That library. So I just followed my gut, went into the library, didn't know why I was there, got led directly to a Maya Angelou book. It was all of her autobiographies all in one book. They had put them all together, bound them all together. And I just got the urge to check the book out and just read like 6 autobiographies by Maya Angelou. I read all 6 of them books within like 30 days because I just had this urge that I needed to read it before her birthday, which her birthday was April the 4th. And so I read all of her autobiographies before her birthday. Mm-hmm. And 2 months later, she died. And how it even came in my spirit is that year before in 2013, I saw her speak at my little cousin's graduation from Ron Clark Academy. She was a guest speaker. And when she came out on that stage and I was in the audience, I was in the very back row. I was as far back as you could be. And it was like the breath came up out of my body when I saw her come on stage. We didn't know who the guest, like at Ron Clark Academy, they never tell you who the guest speaker is. You don't know until the curtain come up.
Wow.
And it was her. And every word that came out of her mouth was a testimony to me, was like confirmation to me. Like even her talking about the libraries, like everything this woman said on that stage for 45 minutes, it was like she was talking directly to me. Yeah. And it was like in the weeks and months that followed, she was just in my spirit. She was in my spirit. And I got led to those books. And it wasn't even just so much of reading the books and doing it by her birthday, to deep dive into her life and to be inspired by this woman and see what she did in her lifetime. It was like, it was my direction for what the next phase of my life was going to be. Like now looking back, mm-hmm. It was direction for me. But the fact that I was able to read that and get that while this woman was still in the physical, that I saw her in June 2013, not knowing the following June she would be deceased. Yeah. But it was just following the spirit. And it would have been, to anybody else, maybe it would have been insignificant. You would have thought, why am I going to go to this library I never go to? I didn't even go through the card catalog. I literally got led to the book. Like I just followed where I felt I should walk in the library, where I should go. And I was just standing in front of the book. Wow. And but, so when you are creative or, you identify in that way, mm-hmm. your greatest gift, no matter what your creative thing that it is that you do, whatever of the 5 senses you use to do that thing, your greatest sense is going to be that 6th sense, that mm-hmm. thing you just can't explain what it is, the spirit of you. Right. And so honing that is the greatest thing that you can do.
Right. And Doc, just hearing you speak so well. Of course, you got that doctorates, you know what I'm saying? Tell me about that. Tell me about your journey. What made you go into that specific field and how the book came along. Jet, run me through. Run me through.
Yes. So, as a child, like a lot of kids that grew up in the 80s, television sitcoms were important to us. That was, we had some classics. And Growing Pains was a classic TV show back in the day. And the dad on Growing Pains, which is Alan Thicke, which is Robin Thicke's dad, the character he played, the dad, was a psychiatrist. And he had a practice in his house. And so as a kid, I always thought that was cool. Like, I want to do that for a living. And, I have my kids there. And so I just always, that's how I understood what psychology was. And so when I went for my undergrad degree at Wilberforce University, the first private black college in America, towards the end of my senior year, my advisor really pushed me to enroll in the doctoral program. And I had thought about getting a doctorate before, but that's always like a lofty goal. As a kid, it's like, you want to be a doctor or a lawyer. That was always kind of those aspirational. So when she had suggested it to me and I started going through the process and saw like, oh my gosh, I think I'm getting into grad school, I was excited. And it was all good at first, the first couple quarters of school, but by the third quarter, life started happening. And, I was young. I was like, 23 years old, and just a lot was on me in my personal life. And so I ended up dropping out of my program and had no intentions of returning. But my school contacted my parents in Alabama. They ended up getting in contact with me, inviting me to come back to the program. Initially, I was just kind of like, I'll think about it. But the following day, I found out I was pregnant with Donovan. And that was like my confirmation where I was like, you know what, I got to go back. Like, I got to go back. I got to finish. And not only just go back and finish, but I need to use this to create something. Like, it was really in my spirit that I needed to do something with hip-hop, specifically Tupac. I was like, I want to do something with Tupac, with my dissertation. And I just was like, I got to do it. And so that was my motivation. That was my drive, where a lot of people, the dissertation experience brings them anxiety, brings them, a lot of negative feelings. For me, the dissertation was my release, was my escape. Writing those things, creating something new, diving deep into rap music and just researching about issues affecting black boys. And as I'm pregnant, with my first son and my second son, just doing that was a relief and a release for me. And so once I started working on the dissertation, I told my committee I had a vision. And I told them, I said, I'm not working on a dissertation, I'm working on my first book. And they're just like, Adia, like, let's get this dissertation done. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Talk about a book.
Exactly.
But, like, first things first, let's do the work.
Yeah.
And so, but when I defended my dissertation, and I was getting my feedback, so in your dissertation defense, it's like an 1.5 to 2 hour long presentation of you presenting all your research or whatever you did for your dissertation. And so you get evaluated on your written actual dissertation, but then they also evaluate you on your oral defense. And so on my written dissertation, I got a perfect score. I got a 5 out of 5, which like never happens. And then in my oral defense, they gave me a 4 out of 5, which is outstanding, but they said the only reason why you didn't get a perfect score on your oral defense is because you don't know you're the expert yet. You are the expert. You have created something that is going to change the world. And they said, you're right, this is your first book. And they gave
took
me
that confidence and ran with it.
And the publishing company they suggested I go with is the one that actually ended up publishing my book.
Yes.
And so it was just amazing. And so when I went on my internship after I defended my dissertation, I piloted the program on my internship. And initially, as you can imagine, I was met with all kind of resistance. For one, first and foremost, I was using rap music, at this correctional facility. And of course, the face of rap music is black and male. So you already know the negative, connotations they were bringing. The administrators were saying I was promoting gang material. It was crazy, like all the backlash I got. But within 2 weeks of me doing the curriculum, these same people were coming to me wanting me to train them in my work, because the whole institution was shifting. There were only 8 boys in the group, but the whole environment began to shift because the H.Y.P.E curriculum was so different, and it was reaching the kids in a different way. And so when I was asked to train the staff at this facility as a student, I was still a student at the time. Mm-hmm. And when they asked me to do this training, that's when I knew I had something. And that's when I changed my dissertation into a manuscript, submitted it, and got my first publishing deal. And so I graduated. Well, actually, I got my publishing deal before I even graduated. So I graduated my doctorate in 2008. November 2008, the economy was tanking at that time. It was terrible. We had moved to Atlanta, and I was working on the edits of my book. And the book came out in December of 2009. And for the first 6 months, first 6 months of 2010, in my spirit, everything was telling me I have something with this book. Mm-hmm. Everything was telling me that. But people, loved ones, my family, people that meant well, they're just like, Adia, a lot of people come out with books. Like, I know that you feel like this is something different, but you just need to focus on, getting licensed. You just graduated. You can work on the book later. Let's just, focus on this. But in my spirit, it was on me so heavy that, it was affecting my sleep. It was affecting everything. And I would be asking people for advice, like, what y'all think I should do? Try not to trust myself. Mm-hmm. And so by like the summer of 2010, I had the opportunity to be on the Michael Baisden show, which was like a popular syndicated show on the radio. Mm-hmm. It was just a quick 5-minute segment. But a journalist who was living in Atlanta at the time, she had heard it. She had heard me on the on this radio show, and she reached out and she said, "You know what? I write for a lot of magazines." She was like, "I feel like, this is like a major story, and I want to break your story." Yeah. But she said, "In order to break your story, I have to observe you doing the curriculum with kids." Well, at the time, I was on my postdoc. I wanted to leave, but I honestly did not have the courage to leave. Mm. But thankfully, the Spirit moved on my behalf. And my supervisor, it was a day I had drove to work. I was driving all the way to Athens for work. I was down to working 1 day a week. Like, because I was just not happy there and everything about it. It was a straight little thing, but I just knew I was supposed to be doing something else. Right. And so I remember I had cried all the way to work, which was like 1 hour and 10 minutes. Yeah. Just because I'm like, I don't feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I get to work, and my supervisor is like, I've talked to the other supervisors. We feel like you've completed all your responsibilities for the postdoc. We will pay you for the rest of the month. Today could be your last day. I was like, all my prayers are answered. Yes. Like, really? Yes. And so I drove back home, that hour drive back home. Mm-hmm. Not knowing what was going to come next, but I said, you know what, let me find a job where I can work, where I could do my curriculum, and this journalist can see me. Got a job within a couple of weeks, doing H.Y.P.E, doing a curriculum. The organization agreed to let the journalist come in. So this is like October when I got that job. She came in November, and we did all the filming, all the recording and stuff for the article. We did a photo shoot with the Associated Press. They came in and did like a full photo shoot. And the magazine. So I didn't even know what magazine it was going to be. And I just knew that she wrote for national magazines.
So you didn't know it was Jet until it came out.
I didn't know it was Jet until like the magazine was going for print.
Wow.
And that's when she told me it was Jet magazine.
Oh.
And so by then, that was like right after Thanksgiving. And she was, so right after Thanksgiving, that's showing you how late in the year it was, right?
Yeah.
And so it was at the end, it was Thanksgiving 2010. And so Chandra was like, well, you know, it's going to be Jet magazine. She's like, and it's going to come out before the end of the year. So I'm thinking like, before the end of the year, like it's already the end of November. Like, how is it possible? And even then, everybody and friends I have in the industry was like, yeah, that's just wishful thinking. It's impossible for the article to come out because the time it takes for them to typeset it, layout. You know, you didn't do the photo shoot till Thanksgiving. Like, it's not gonna come out. And I'll be doggone if the day before New Year's Eve, because my dad, you know, rest his soul, when he found out I was gonna be in Jet magazine, he got a subscription to Jet. Because he's like, I ain't gonna miss it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not waiting on it to get installed.
Yeah.
And when you get the mail-in subscription, you get the magazine before it hits the newsstands. Mm-hmm. And my dad's magazine came like December 30th of 2010.
Wow. Right before
the end of the year. So when I was ringing in 2021, it was like, y'all, dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
Right after that, that's when Tom Joyner got a copy of the magazine, saw me in the magazine, had his people contact my people, invited me on the show. And, you know, he was such a huge supporter of what I was doing based on this article that he was like, whatever we got to do to get you on the show, whatever time constraints or whatever we need to do, we need to have you on the show. And it was an amazing production. It was a couple of days in the making. I worked on a lot of things with the production team, like behind the scenes. Yeah. And being on his show in January of 2011 was one of the biggest catalysts that led to the H.Y.P.E movement, because once I was on his show, it blew me up in an instant. As soon as the interview ended, my phone was blowing up with phone calls, my email was blowing up, my website. I mean, it was immediate. Yeah. And that's why I had to start my company, because I was getting so much attention.
Eyes on
so
you.
much, like people wanting to do business. I was invited to Redan within maybe 10 days. Well, it was because I was on the Tom Joyner show right around the 20th of January, 21st of January. And I was invited to Redan to speak right after that, late January. And that's when Brandy was in the audience. Bakari and Damon were in the audience, but Brandy asked a question, and at the end she asked if I needed an intern. And at the time I was like, no, because I'm just the mom, because the residual effects of Tom Joyner hadn't hit. Yeah. I had just been on there, so I didn't know what was to come. Right. But baby, in them weeks, everything started happening, and I was just like, man, I wish I had known when that young lady asked me that this was coming. I would have told her, yeah. And I got invited to come back to Redan on March 30th of 2011. And I prayed before I went that I would see Brandy, because I didn't remember her name. I had given her my number, but I never heard from her. And lo and behold, she snuck in to the event, and I was like, I'm getting your number this time. We're going to exchange numbers. And, the rest, as they say, is history. Wow. Yeah.
That's how it all began.
That's how it all began.
Yes. Talk to me on the walkthrough on the legacy, 50 plus years on out that you see, corporation, school curriculum. Talk me through Dr. Dia's legacy.
Wow. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because, I always have been a visionary. And I've always been one to so-called dream big. And as big as I dreamed, and, even some of my dreams still haven't come true yet, but what I have realized in life, what my life has been, is like bigger than what I could have dreamed. I mean, as big as stuff is that I have dreamed, like I said, all the dreams haven't manifested yet, but I mean, it has been truly amazing to know that just by being myself, not fronting, not flexing, not, doing things to put on, me genuinely living my life how I'm being led to live my life. Even when it goes against all the norms.
Yeah.
Like every norm. Now a lot of the things that people are doing that are normal are considered normal, but a lot of these things I was already doing them when it wasn't normal or when it wasn't accepted. Homeschooling my children or working online from home. Things I've done for 10 years, 12 years, just kind of out of necessity because I had to. That is all part of the legacy. That is all part. So, one big thing with my legacy that I firmly believe is, the fact that you make your own way out of whatever is going on. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything. You only have to have like all of the plan laid out to make a move. You could have obstacles and go for it and it still be amazing. And matter of fact, it might be even more amazing because the obstacles that you had to face when you did that thing. I feel like that's part of who I am. Just being able to inspire people effortlessly, not because I want to be a guru, like now it's like everybody want to be a life coach, a guru, like that's who I am. I mean, people might say that's what I am, but I'm not that because that's what I want to be. That's just me being who I'm called to be.
Exactly.
And that is my legacy. Like, the dope stuff I've done, even down to politics, it's because I was following the spirit. I didn't get in politics. I mean, I guess on the one hand, we all do things and create goals because we do want to have accomplishments and successes and such. But, a lot of the things that I have done have come at a great cost, have come at great sacrifice. So while it may have paid off, like when the world look at it, they be like, man, she did that and she doing it to come up. They don't see the cost behind the scene. They don't see the sacrifice, behind the scenes that come with it. Or even, on paper, oh, it look dope, that's hot. But the backlash I get for a lot of the stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of things I do that are celebrated and that I know, a lot of you guys have talked about and shared, those very same things that you may admire about me are the very things that maybe my colleagues or people, my peers and stuff like that, look down upon. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I'm just thankful that I have been able to just throughout my life to just move how I want to move, regardless of what people think. Because a lot of things, what I found is, yeah, I do things different. Yeah, it might not make no sense to anybody at all, but time will tell. And when time starts telling, it all makes sense by and by. And so, I want my legacy, like more so than just the individual accomplishments or, the accolades and things like that. I want my life and my legacy to just show that, the power of faith, the power of love, the power of just you know, recognizing that we're a part of like a bigger timeline, and you know, all we can do is operate in our part of the timeline. And when I operated in my part of the timeline, it didn't matter what was going on. You know what I'm saying? I was going to do me unapologetically. And, you know, whether people came into contact with me, you know, from my days in the NAACP as a child, you know, because my community organizing and activism started in my childhood. Mm-hmm. So, you know, people came into my life at that time. You know, whether people came into my life through what I did with H.Y.P.E as a curriculum, or H.Y.P.E as the movement, you know, the mobilizing arm. Whether people came into my life as Dr. Winfrey, the politician. Exactly. You know, no matter how they did, I wanted to be said that I lived a faith-filled life, but a real life.
I think I was in the first grade. I was telling my classmates that my mom was like a rapper, and all of them was like, "Oh, she's a rapper? No way." But she's like, "Let me listen to it," and that's when I realized she was different.
Hey, tell me about yourself. What's your name? Your age?
All right, take one.
I'm Winfrey. I'm 15 years old, and I was born in Ohio, and I'm from Alabama.
I'm Winfrey. I'm 17. I was born in Dayton, Ohio.
My name is Amira. I'm 13 years old. I go to K-12 online school, and I was born in Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
My name is Ada Winfrey, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
So what was your first memory of H.Y.P.E?
My first memory of H.Y.P.E was at the King Center with all the like new H.Y.P.E people. I think it was in 2013 was when we did it.
Right. Can you tell me how old you was in 2013?
2013, I was 7 years old.
You were 7 years old, so I know your memory is kind of light, but you did remember that we toured the museum and we went out by the lake and we threw like coins in, we made our little wishes, and we actually did our first H.Y.P.E video there.
Oh yeah. I think I was in that video a couple times.
Yeah, you remember how we took Marta and we walked to the train station and then we piled up in the H.Y.P.E mobile.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that was the Martin Luther King Center where everybody was singing and stuff. I was young. I was like 4 or 5.
And we went to the mall on my birthday.
And we sold the books. We did the books.
Yeah, I think so. We went to Stonecrest. I forgot what we did.
Maybe like the Tupac Center, doing them events and stuff. And the Peace Garden, like the statue and all that.
So when did you realize that your mom is a public figure?
Well, when we started meeting all these like celebrities and stuff, like that was real cool. I think we met Neo one time and we got a good picture of that too. So yeah, that was fun. It took me a little minute because like I had to realize like this was real life. Like I'm really meeting these people that I see on TV.
So to you, it just seemed like that is just mommy's friend.
Yes.
Okay.
Like when she was talking at the Stonecrest Library, I would help. Like I was helping in like the background, like helping like people come out and stuff.
When we used to go like out to events, and then she'd be like not the host, but like one of the people like the panels on the panels and stuff like that. She would be like one of the people like talking.
Like I knew, but like not recently, but like not too far back. It was like she was doing these trainings, and this one person had emailed her, and it was like they was waiting their whole life for this to do it, and I was just like, dang.
Like your mom really means something to other people than you.
Yeah.
I know that was kind of like, whoa, like that's my mom. Like watch out. Okay, cool. Okay. Can you tell me what was your favorite work memory with your mom, whether it was when you guys were on the political campaign, whether it was a hip-hop industry event, or whether it was H.Y.P.E?
It was H.Y.P.E. I remember we started a H.Y.P.E mobile and it was like packed down, so we got to sit in the back, and that was real fun.
So can you tell me what was the H.Y.P.E mobile?
Okay, so it was this like it was this green Ford Explorer that we used to always ride around in. We had it for about, I think it was like 5 years. It did us good.
And I was mostly stuck in the trunk sometimes. It was a little hot. And I was mostly stuck in the trunk sometimes. It was a little hot.
This truck had about 5 seats. We had about 15 people in it. So, yeah, that's that.
That is not an exaggeration. That is the truth. That is the truth. Okay, so tell me, who is your most memorable mentee, or what was the most funniest moment with the H.Y.P.E mentees?
The most memorable moments with the H.Y.P.E mentees.
Mm-hmm.
When I found out Brandy had a child.
Brandy.
Matt.
Matt is your favorite?
Funny.
The funniest one? Okay. Where do you see H.Y.P.E going in the next 5 years?
In about 5 years, I see H.Y.P.E having this big corporate building with all these people working, you know, keeping everything rolling, all that good stuff.
More people, like a lot of more kids, like from all different ages. It's probably gonna be in schools, like a program in schools.
Like big and like on a whole bunch of social media platforms with a bunch of followers and more people knowing about it, more people joining and everything.
Expanding like across the states and country, and everybody like having like their little own part of it. Like, how do I say it? Like everybody got like a little own branch, like that.
How did your mom influence you to be a better version of you?
My mom is my biggest inspiration. Like, most of the stuff I do is because of her. Like, she's just always been there for me, always will be there for me, and I love her.
Everything she does, she's a single mom, so she always like look after us and stuff, like me and my siblings. And she always gotta take care of us, and then she gotta work too. So
Start opening up more, cause she know a lot of people, and a lot of people get you a lot of money.
So you say that your mom influenced you to be more sociable with people, so you can go ahead and learn how to network and meet different folk, you know, meet you where you at in life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like she's an activist, so she fights for rights and I want to do that too.
Okay, do you see yourself in a major role playing in the H.Y.P.E Elevating Us LLC Corporation? Do you see yourself being CFO, CEO, COO?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that? Okay, just a little something, not a lot, just a little bit. Okay.
Coming up next.